The church. I don't even know what town this is. This is Antibes. Got it. Thank you.
Bracelets. That's pretty. Look at that one. Italian or Dutch? That's pretty.
It is?
Kind of.
It's like a
Pain and lot. Try it. I was looking for a poster, a nice poster to bring home from somewhere, frame. And those paintings, I looked at the one. How much money you have?
Boat heaven.
How much money you have to make in France to be able to afford a boat like that?
A lot.
I mean, even more than the States, right?
Oh, a lot more.
You have to be wealthier per person here to have something like that than the Lake of the Ozarks. There's a lot of people with boats like that. You can just sneak in right here.
You stay here, you follow me in the town. Because in the town, a lot of people, they ask me, and I told them what to do. We follow the route to the left. There were some very
in 1864 in Cannes and Nice. At that time, the ground was very inexpensive. It cost quite nothing, so they built railway at this place. Now it's not the same. It's not the same thing. The soil, the ground costs very expensive on the seashore. But at that time, people built their villas on the hills and not on the seashore. Just in front of you, you see already these new buildings. Quite. It is Marina Baie des Anges. After we'll pass just next to it. Marina Baie des Anges. It is just a private apartments, residence. Some of the people had their apartments and they are coming only for summer to spend holidays. Quite luxury apartments. Southern Alps scales coming next to the sea, and the Southern Alps are not far from here. It takes about 1 hour's drive to first ski. So now we arrive to Marina Baie des Anges. These houses were built in 1970s by one French architect, André Bilangoy. And they have also inside a small marina, the harbor for yachts.
Yeah.
They just stopped, they built only 4 buildings like this because now we arrive to Creux du Cane and you have the hippodrome just on your left hand. It is the biggest hippodrome on the French Riviera, and there are competition for horses every summer. And the village of Cannes-sur-Mer, with a castle on the top. The castle of Grimaldi family. That's the same Grimaldi family that they had also the castle
medieval
Antibes.
village.
You saw it. So the cousins of Grimaldi in Monaco. Cannes-sur-Mer was the place where Auguste Renoir, Impressionist painter Auguste Renoir, lived at the end of his life. Auguste Renoir bought the house in Cannes-sur-Mer, next to Cannes-sur-Mer, and till our days there is a museum of Auguste Renoir And this is a greenhouse which calls Le Parc Phoenix, Phoenix Park, with a different species of different climatical zones, from tropical, equatorial zones, even from Arctic. You can travel around the biological world in 1 or 2 hours inside.
This is Old Nice. What's what you were saying?
No, the lady in that car was waiting for all of the car. She's not saying one word.
Oh, I don't know what to do. Yeah, this is really historic and interesting. Let's see, we've got men doing work. Yeah, post office here. The people in the post office. And like lots of people. Indy wants me to take video of junk.
And the buildings.
And old buildings. This is an old building. This is junk.
Before this guy runs my toes over.
He's gonna do it too. Got it.
Got all that?
I got it.
Let's walk down. Magazine. I gotta pee.
Again? You should have gone back there. Well, you know that you can go back there.
Walk around the end of the... Yeah.
Now you're recording video.
Okay.
Roll it.
Those for me. I like those.
They are. Polished hubcaps.
May and Son hubcaps.
Ok, donc je suis à un magasin à Schenken qui s'est ouvert à côté de chez moi, chérie.
So this thing really zooms fast. You gotta be careful.
You push it down ever so slightly.
Yeah.
It zooms slow.
Really zooms. You have to hit it to record it again, right?
Does anybody work?
I don't know. Why don't you take a survey? Ask them all.
I'll take a couple, okay? Okay, got it.
They have some nice pieces here, but you have to know.
We'll have to come back.
So now we arrived to Modern Art Museum. The first one is the Theatre of Nice, and another one, white building in the marble of Carrara. It is the Modern Art Museum. It is a confrontation between artistic movements in the United States, 1960s pop art, and the 1960s was another movement in France which was called the New Realism. So what is interesting in this contemporary art museum to see this confrontation between American and French art in 1960s. They have works of Warhol and there on the left there are terraces with the olive trees. There are parkings inside, and there is a project to make a library, the new library for a town at this place. Acropolis, which can welcome about 3,000 of people. One of the most important convention centers here in this area. So there is one convention center in Cannes also, this one in Nice and in Monaco. A lot of conventions for example, till March, April. So this is kind of tourism also for this region. And the Acropolis, it is built also on the river of Paillon. Paillon is again underground. It's always on the same parallel square. And there used to be the bridge at this place, which was inaugurated by the Queen Victoria. Queen Victoria used to come at the very end of the 19th century, from 1895, when the tourism begins. You see that the city of Nice town was enlarged a lot, especially after the Second World War. And on your right hand, look at the Orthodox Church, Russian Orthodox Church, which is very beautiful. On your right hand, this is one of the most beautiful churches, Orthodox churches in the Western Europe, because there used to live a very important Russian community in Nice. After Tsar Alexander II came with his family to spend some winters, and other families, rich families, used to come also.
The battery on this camera lasts forever.
Longer than the other one?
Oh, it's got 224 minutes left on it.
After started doing the red, is it okay, or have to people walk by?
Do it again. See what he's doing.
I got it.
Okay, it's not
Okay.
Yeah, I got it. I need another one. I got the car on that one. Got it. It's cool. It freezes it.
Ah, Sarrazin! C'est chaud! Eh, tu peux pas te garer vers la... Allez, ce soir, on a dit. Oh là là là. Je passe.
Luxury boat in one place before.
No, just the actual running of the boat. So
Oh, really?
oh, you'd cost you a fortune. You'd have that full-time crew.
Oh, yeah. That's right. This is unique. Keep her away from me. They're pushing over.
Very little Spanish, but they speak really, really well.
Oh, did you get the little yacht?
Oh, that's a pretty nice scene.
Oh, yours. I showed
No, that's French. That's French. French at the back. Oh, no, German up the top.
Figure out the people sitting in there.
All the colour of the water's out here.
I think it might be the reflection of the boat.
No, it doesn't.
Hey, guys.
We had a look at, we didn't go over it.
Turn around.
Ah voilà, je vais regarder alors. Bah oui, parce que... Non mais il n'y a pas d'enfant. construction began in 1298, and according with the idea of Fort Benson, it was supposed to be 50 meters from the city. But the authorities with a mountain and a food and a small food once again decided they compelled the Franciscans to have an emergency church, but they were not leaders. This was the name of the church since the beginning. That means that the facade in marble was not part of the original project. This was just added in the last century, okay? We come here to celebrate the illustrious Florentines through the monuments. That's something that we were saying already in the bus, okay? Before leaving the square, I would like to remark that this is the meeting point.
This guy's obviously not very important because she's not talking about it. Must have distance.
Tell her. Ah, yes. Yeah, Delamonte.
No, I don't think so.
This is the panorama of Florence.
Mia cugina dove stava in questo centro che stava. Ma adesso sta alla parte di Firenze e quella là. Da quella parte non devo sperare che lei.
Our bus?
Det var årets bil. All around the sand.
Bonito, bonito. Our tour guide.
Questo tipo di contatto, quindi mi piace anche conoscere molte persone, come mi è capitato appunto da quando sono vicino con voi, di conoscere le persone, di presentarmi a casa sua, a casa loro e di prendere questi contatti. È molto importante anche perché poi effettivamente dentro casa del cliente si vede effettivamente lo spazio, si capisce l'esigenza del cliente e quindi insieme si trova risolvere. Direi proprio di sì. Senti Cinzia, so che voi proprio siete specializzati.
There's a castle up there.
Yeah, we went through some, people were growing some flowers, some grapes, wine.
Oh yeah, a part of it. We had to have a ticket to get in, so that cost money.
I like to take a tour one day of the Tuscany hillside and stay in like some of these places are old people's chateaus and things now that you can like, or small hotels and bed and breakfasts. That's what I'd like to do. Don't hit my shoulder. Don't move. That's pretty. Going by. Don't make me laugh. Can't take pictures here. It does though.
We'll be actually going through the wall.
Oh, that's true.
You can see just in front of us under scaffolding is
But it's not.
St. Paul's Gate, Porta San Paolo, which is, again, you have to imagine, in the old days you would have gone through that gate and there was a double entry system. So there was, there's another gate behind that. They close that gate while you enter, and then, sorry, they open this gate here to let you in, the other gate closed, they close this gate and open the other gate for security reasons. So we're now, imagine where this road is now, there's a wall going right across. This was originally part of the medieval walls of Rome. If you look to the left, you can see the double gate system. So we've now entered the city of Rome. We're inside the walls. We're making our way to the Colosseum, where we'll be picking up our guide, Alessandra. See the bumpy roads. These roads, this cobblestone type system is quite popular in Rome, but unfortunately it's very uneven. So be very careful when we're getting off the bus. It's very easy to be unbalanced because they're not very even.
Your ticket, but we will have one ticket only. This means it's an automatic machine which counts automatically. So when we go inside, we should. Colosseum is like the symbol of the city. It's the symbol of Rome. You know, the real name of this building, you know, usually is known as this place is the Flavian Amphitheater, where Flavian stands for the name of the family of the emperors who built it. Or I would say the dynasty or dynasty. I know there's different way of pronouncing, you know. Usually there's Australian, English, American. So dynasty or dynasty of the emperor, which was known as the Flavi or the Flavian dynasty of emperors. And amphitheater literally means double theater. You know, a theater is horseshoe shaped. A double theater, an amphitheater, is by joining two theaters together. It's what you call an elliptical shape, such as the one of the arena. That's the general name of these buildings. The Colosseum, it could seem incredible or not, it was built in some 8 years only. It was started roughly around the year 72 AD and completed some 8 years later. We know that the grand opening of the Colosseum was in the year 80 AD, at the time of Titus. The grand opening was a real grand opening because it went on for 100 days and more than 5,000 animals were slaughtered in the games at the beginning. Obviously, I usually say at the time there was not animal rights protecting these animals. And it was a grand opening. The Colosseum was built in different materials such as the bricks, marble, travertino. When you see those white pieces, here we don't have a lot, as the travertino, which is similar to marble but less precious. Travertino, we could translate it in travertine. There's no translation because it's a typical Roman stone. It's typical of the surroundings around Rome. Travertino and also wood, different materials, because the brick was giving it the skeleton, and also the travertino was making a decoration. Travertino was less expensive than marble. Then they used to fill most of these holes with metal bars. So it was reinforced, it was a kind of concrete, we would say. And the reason why there are all these holes and the metal bars are no longer existing is very simple. Because you know that the popes destroyed the Rome of the Caesars, that's what usually we say. So in the Middle Ages and in the Renaissance, to build the many churches that we have in Rome, a lot of materials from ancient buildings were taken. So this means that the ancient buildings were used by the popes as caves, we say. And so that's why materials such as metal bars were taken and reused. And this explains also why the marble in the Colosseum is so gone. You know that there's a church in Rome, the Church of St. Mark, which has been all built, the facade, in marble from the Colosseum. So the popes destroyed the Rome of the Caesar to create the Rome of the popes, which is a beautiful Rome anyway. But you know, anyway, as I told you, the different materials. The Colosseum, as you see it now, is not exactly the same building that used to be some 2,000 years ago. First of all, what is missing now that existed some 2,000 years ago? First of all, 1/2 of the outer wall. That sign is higher than this. From the side where we entered, where the ticket office is, the outer wall is no longer existing. 1/2 of the outer wall fell with an earthquake, which was back in the 1300s. Second thing which is missing, the velarium. There used to be, during the games in the Colosseum, a huge canopy, which was there for protecting the people from the sun. Imagine sitting for hours in the Roman sun, in summertime, it was hard. There was a huge canopy which was fixed on the top of the Colosseum by a squad of sailors always living nearby, so they were ready to fix it for the games. The third thing which is completely missing, or almost, is the seats. Can you see any spare seats? Any seats left? Almost no seats left. This because seats were in two different materials, in marble and in wood. Marble was reserved for the richer people, wood for the poorer ones. And this explains why the top part was in wood and the central one was with marble seats. So the Colosseum had no entrance fee, it was free, but tickets were given according to social class. So the higher your seat was, the lower your class was. So marble was recycled, the marble of the seat, the wood. Wood is a very delicate material, it cannot last 2,000 years, and that's why the wood seat. And the fourth thing which is completely missing is the floor. When you enter the Colosseums at 2,000 years ago, you arrive at this level, and you'll see when you take a walk around the Colosseum, and at this level there was a wooden floor covered with sand. That was the floor where games took place. Underneath, that's what you see nowadays. When you look there, you see there is a kind of underground area. That was the storage place. It was where they kept all the machinery for the games, all the animals, all the painted things like painted sceneries, props, and so on. So, underground area covered by a wooden floor and sand on it. Sand was used for the wood because the floor became slippery with the blood of the animals, with the sweating or so during the fight. And sand has also a cleaning function. And also one thing, the name in Latin of sand is arena. So probably the reason why we call this kind of buildings arenas is because of the name of the sand which was spread on the wooden floor. What about the games? I told you no entrance fee, so people enter the Colosseum. Some 50,000, from 50 to 70,000 people find their seats inside the Colosseum. We don't know how many people were standing at the top, so we don't know if it was from 50 to 70,000 people inside the Colosseum. The games started generally, well, this time of the day, late morning. And what were the games? Generally two different kinds of games. Late morning they started with the venationes. What was the venationes? It was the hunting of wild animals. When they made excavations in the Colosseum, they found bones of tigers, alligators, bears, ostriches, tigers, chicken and turkeys. So now obviously it was not a fight or a hunting of chicken and turkeys, but people like us, they had their own food in, when they came here. Like, when you go at Kentucky Fried Chicken or something. If they were not satisfied with the show, they throw their food and say, no, or, like this. Anyway, the venationes, hunting of wild animals. The setting, it had painted scenery such as hills, mountains, a forest, and it was a gladiator, a man, fighting or hunting animals with different kinds of weapons. It was a real hunt. There were also the gladiator, the games with animals, animal fightings. So animals which were, fighting against the other in the arena. Sometimes they also had the famous executions ad bestes, which means, obviously, the tradition of the martyrs of the Colosseum. Well, probably it has been emphasized the number of the people who died here, but we know that people died here. They were executed. For example, also Christians. Christians were considered criminals, outlaws at the time, and so they were executed in the arena. What happened? Usually you were left in the arena with wild animals, and you had just nothing in your hands. So if you were, a very strong man, or an Hercules, maybe you could survive, but most of the time they died. What was the highlight of the place? The gladiatorial games, the munera. This was the gladiatorial fights. There were 4 different teams of gladiators, and they fought with weapons, one versus the other. Usually it was one team versus another team. The games were very cruel because they had to end with death, almost everybody. And sometimes even if you didn't want to kill the person in front of you, facing you, you had to, because if you wanted to survive, you had to kill the other. Otherwise, the other killed you. So you understand that the games were essentially very violent games. This was, the kind of games they enjoyed at the time. Not only this one. In ancient Rome, there were chariot races, there were different battles. But these ones were, you know, extremely. The games in the Colosseum went on until the 5th century AD. And then there was a ban on the games. The reason is because with the advent of the Christianity, Christians decided that these games were too poor to be continued. And the games in the Colosseum were banned. From that time on, the Colosseum was abandoned. In the Middle Ages became a fortress, a castle, and then in the Renaissance became the main cave where the popes took materials. In the beginning, at the beginning of the 1800s, the popes decided that it was different popes from the one of the Renaissance, that it was time to preserve this building, which also had the memory of the first Christians. So you see the cross there. The cross is there remembering the martyrs who died here, and also because it's important to say one thing. The Colosseum is the place where every year, the Good Friday, which is the Friday before Easter, we have the Stations of the Cross. You know that the Pope comes from St. Peter, arrives here, and he carries the cross on his shoulders, held obviously by assistants. And he makes the reenactment of the Stations of the Cross, which is the road to Calvary that Jesus Christ did with his own cross. And it's a Christian celebration that we have every Good Friday, every year, inside the Colosseum. That's why the Colosseum is a national monument, it's a museum, but it's also a place, you could say, of worship or remembering this Christian tradition. Okay, obviously, if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer. I'll show you now the way to go up and where the exit is, and I'll tell you when and where we meet, okay? Doesn't matter, I told you before that we'll be at 15, and I'll put it past for the people who are, will probably be some 5-10 minutes later, but it doesn't matter. It's important that you know where it was in case. But I'll show you where John, our friend, will be at the exit, and the way to go up. The steps are really steep. That's why usually I prefer to explain from here, because not everybody really likes to go or feel like to go up. But I'll show you where they are so you can decide both things, okay?